Well, hello. Guess who I have? The illustrious Heroi couple. What about that? So this is exciting for me, and I hope it will be for you as well. So I just have a couple of questions that maybe the community doesn't know yet.
If they don't know us by now, oh man.
We'll see. We'll just see, because I'm going to ask some questions maybe they don't know, or maybe I won't. But we do know we have an extraordinary couple here. And I'm going to start down with you.
Okay.
You are the one that isn't always seen.
Right.
You're a lot of times in the background. Sometimes you'll help when you can.
Sure.
Is what I understand.
I try.
And you have a birthday coming up.
Tomorrow,
which I'm not sure when this is going to air, but what is tomorrow?
August 2nd.
August 2nd. And can we ask how old you are, or would you prefer not to?
I am almost 40.
Almost 40.
Yep. I'm going to be 42.
Right.
That's
40,
almost 40
almost
to me.
40.
Right?
Explain almost 40 when you're 42. No, you don't have to.
Well, it's close to 40, so it's almost.
Closer
I figured
the
it's
40 than the 50.
almost there.
So you're actually 21 times 2.
Sure. That's, if we want to confuse people even more, we'll do that, yeah.
So you're in the background. First of all...
And you can see why now.
Not yet, but we might get there.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you've been walking with, you're 42, or soon to be almost 40.
Almost 40.
Okay.
42. See?
How old were you when you first met the Lord, or were you raised in a Christian home?
Raised in a Christian home, so for 42 years been part of a church community, a church body. My parents helped start a church when I was a newborn, and I was the first baby dedicated at that church in Connecticut, and so
awesome.
That's where I grew up in the church, and have been in the church ever since. Unbroken church attendance, except for a few weekends here and there.
So
we
have two littles that are outside of the camera shot. So mom's gone to take care of one of the littles.
Yep.
Okay, so you were born in Connecticut. How many siblings did you say?
So I have 3 sisters. Born in Connecticut. We grew up in Connecticut. Like I said, my parents helped to start a church, which is actually still going 42 years later.
42? Wow.
Same pastor this whole time, the Living Rock Church in Killingworth, Connecticut.
Wow.
Great church down there. So grew up there and then moved to New Hampshire when I was about 13. And then started going to a church where we moved right outside of Dartmouth area, Hanover, New Hampshire. And went there for my teenage years into my 20s, and then went from there to Bethel, and then went from Bethel to here. So
okay,
that's a big jump there.
It's a huge jump, and I have got a lot of questions,
Sure.
and you can answer or not answer.
Yes.
So what you're born literally into the church.
Yep, definitely.
So and how old are you? Are you the baby in the lineup?
I'm the second in my family, and then I had 2 much younger sisters, 7, 10 years later.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap.
Big gap.
there.
So it's me and my sister, and then a gap, and then my 2 other sisters.
Okay,
Yep.
so your sister's the oldest, and then you.
Yep.
So by then the church is going.
Yep.
And had been going.
Yep.
And then you're born into the church.
Well, the church was new. I mean, brand new, pretty much when I was born, I guess, because
Okay.
I was the first baby that the pastor dedicated. He was young too. Everybody was young. My parents were young. The pastor was 24.
Wow.
Which was a struggle for a pastor trying to lead a church, of all different ages as a 24-year-old guy right out of Bible school and whatnot. So it was a brand new church with young families, and we were one of those young families, and that's kind of where I got my roots as far as foundationally in the church and in my faith. Yeah.
So what did your parents do at that church?
They were just members, but they were one of the founding families. So they had been meeting in. I don't think they were meeting in homes, but they met in the Grange Hall. I remember those days before the building. So they would meet in just different town properties and stuff like that, as just families, right? And then it kind of started to gain momentum, and then they officially incorporated, named the pastor. So they were just integral in the early stages of that church.
That's beautiful.
But we were always involved, right? We were heavily involved in the church activities and picnics and gatherings and all the church stuff. So it was just how I grew up was church life. That was just integral to who I was, and our family.
So like, Miss Sarina's sneaking around to come back on. Before you sit down, is there a way to keep it cooler in here? Can we turn the thermostat right there? Because these lights get a little warm.
Yeah.
And this is intriguing. So
I hope so.
it is, because my questioning is now, you're born into the church.
Sure.
Your family is an integral part. Your parents are.
Yeah.
Not the head pastor.
No.
But you were raised in the church.
Yeah.
And this was back in, so that would have been 40 something years ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking 70s,
No.
late 90s somewhere.
So yeah, early 80s, I guess, up
Early
until
80s.
the 90s is when then we switched, we moved a bit and we switched churches, but so it's 80s to 90 or so. Yeah,
okay.
there.
So you are literally born basically into the church.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time there, I'm assuming, because
Yeah.
that was back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Churches typically met Sunday morning, Sunday
Yeah.
night, Wednesday. You were probably at all services?
Well, I mean, I forget what they had. So definitely the Sunday service, and then anything extra that was going on. Like I said, if there's a church picnic or function or a special event, guest speakers. One time the power team came in.
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
you remember the power
Yeah,
team.
they
right?
did
They would rip the
phone books. Yeah.
and
There used to be phone books.
yeah, really big phone books.
Almost 40 is showing, really.
Yeah.
So they would come through. So, anything like that, different guest speakers all the time. It was a fairly charismatic church, so it's a non-denominational, kind of more charismatic than not type of situation. So
Okay, so
that
you're
kind of
growing
structure.
up. What was the youth group or the young people like? In middle school, all of that stuff
Yeah.
to keep you interested in going.
I mean, it's getting harder and harder to remember back then, but they did have a good kids program. I had a lot of my friends were primarily from the church, right? So they had a good kids program. I remember the guy who ran it was great. And then they would do summer camps. Eventually they started doing summer camps, which I have a lot of strong memories of, because as a kid at summer camp, that's like a formative time and a really special time. So I did a couple years of the summer camp with the church, and that was great as well. I think I got baptized at one of the summer camps actually too.
I remember summer camps well. Yeah.
So that was good.
So okay, so you have it's a smaller church, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, probably, I don't know, it might not 100 or so. I don't know. I'd have to ask my parents, but yeah.
For most typical smaller churches, that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
100 to
Yeah, this is a
to
small
less.
town in Connecticut, Killingworth, Connecticut. Probably nobody has heard of that town in particular, so it's kind of in a more rural area. So it'd be more of a community, local church type situation. Kind of similar to what I've been at, other than Bethel, the church in New Hampshire I moved to, and then here, kind of similar size, similar structure, similar feel in a lot of ways.
So, which is interesting because even in Jewish time, when Jesus walked the planet, the synagogues that he would typically do a lot of his miracles in were in the local synagogue, which happened to be small. Like in every community, you would have the synagogue, and then that's where Jesus would go consistently. So a lot of times we're nowadays hearing it's bad to be, church is church is bad. Church is, it's a country club basically for Christians or whatever you hear about that. But the truth is that Jesus every Sabbath, which happens to be a Saturday, would be at the synagogue. And then the yearly big festivals, he would go to the temple, which is in Jerusalem. So it's interesting that even to this day, some of the smaller churches are actually where you're going to get the most fed.
Yeah.
And so, you being a young person, though, and it's not so much cool to go to church, how did you deal with that when you got into your teens?
I think being in the church my whole life, it kind of helped to alleviate some of those, pressures of, oh, well, I want to go to church, and then your friends going, it's not cool. I didn't have to deal with that because pretty much most of my friends I had been meeting in the church, so that's where they were.
Did you go to public school?
No, I did until I was like in third grade, and then I was homeschooled from third grade to eighth grade, and then I went to a private Christian school. So I was a bit insulated from some of those outside pressures where most of my friends don't go to church, but I do, or it wasn't like that. So I was very comfortable being in the church environment.
Right.
So yeah, it just felt normal to me. And in the 80s and 90s, that was, I think, more normal culturally too. It wasn't until maybe the past 10 to 20 years where people have really more so questioned and deconstructed and been leaving the church. Back then it felt like very typical for people my age even to be at church.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young families then.
It's interesting too, because where we're at in our society here in America, it feels like it's starting to trend back to that. Like some of the young people, I don't know if you know who Charlie Kirk is with TPUSA. I listen to a lot of his podcasts and stuff, and what he's doing and what's happening on the college campuses, there's like this revival that's happening throughout the United States. There's also on the other side, you have the protests. And so we know that we're in a battle. And we know that we're in a battle of good and evil. And you being raised in a Christian environment, homeschooled for the most part, felt very comfortable in a smaller setting because all your friends were there. Then you go to Bethel, which in and of itself can be controversial right now, especially what's happening online. So then you go to Bethel. How old were you when you went to Bethel? In Redding, California.
Yep, right. I went to Bethel to go to the ministry school specifically, so I did 2 years at the school there. So I would have been mid-20s. It would have been 2009, so I would have been like 26 to 28.
2009.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That was actually my first year on staff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember you being there.
You do remember
definitely.
that.
Yep.
That's either good or bad. I don't know whether to apologize or thank you or tell you.
You weren't my teacher, so yeah.
So 2009, you've been in a smaller environment. You go to Bethel. You start understanding. I'm assuming at your early 20s. There's a big world out here of people that come to church. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, so after my church in Connecticut, we moved to New Hampshire. Then I was at the private Christian school that was associated with the church that Sarina will talk about as well, because we met there.
That's where,
Shut up! Oh, I can't wait to get to that part.
That's where we meet each other.
Yes, that'll be way more interesting than my part.
No, this is good. This is gold.
So yeah, I was at that church there in the Upper Valley of New Hampshire. Like I said, it was started right outside of Dartmouth College. It was like 5 minutes outside of the Dartmouth campus. So I went there from like the mid '90s till I went to Bethel, really. So for a long time.
How did you even hear about Bethel though?
I mean, at that time, so now we're talking, it's now the mid 2000s, right? So Brian's music is becoming more popular. I was a musician, so I would play, out there at the church or with other people, worship stuff. And so Brian's songs are starting to become more in the forefront. Podcasts were really starting to come out because of the iPod that came out 2004, 2005. I think I got my first iPod. So now you're listening to the music, you're downloading the sermons, the podcasts and stuff like that. So now in New Hampshire, I'm connected to everybody from Hillsong, Bethel, whoever it was at the time, just through the internet and through the podcasts and stuff like that, and through the music. So now I'm listening to their songs, listening to the preaching. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of momentum at some of these various places at that time, whether it was Hillsong or IHOP or Morningstar, Bethel, all the kind of the bigger names then. Obviously things have changed a bit with a lot of those, but there was just a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement. And again, even with young people, late teens and 20s and 30s, of wanting to see what was happening out there. And I guess that was where I was at that time, going from like the local church community. I was the youth group leader for a while at that church in the Upper Valley there, and I was one of the worship leaders. And did that for a while, which was great, but then a lot of my friends left that community, and I was one of the kind of only ones left out of my core friend group. So I'm like, well, I don't want to just stay here just to stay here. I want to see what else is out there, you know? And that's when I made the decision to go to Bethel, and that church actually paid for my tuition for both years, which I'm very grateful forever for them for doing that and kind of helping to push me in that direction,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So then you go to Bethel, and You were there for 2 years.
2 years.
Did you come home during the summertime?
Came home in the summer, yep. So I came home and I worked at a Christian camp. So my life revolved around just growing up in the church. Went to public school for a little bit, but homeschooled, then private Christian school, and then working at a Christian camp for 12 years. So from 14 till I was 28, I took a 2-year break, going to Bethel and just doing a couple different things. But for 12 years, I worked at a Christian camp up there, kind of near Lebanon, Hanover, called Singing Hills. And I'm still actually on the board of directors. I'm the treasurer of Singing Hills.
Wow.
So still involved, but that's kind of another formative part of my life. And again, working at a Christian camp, meeting a lot of the people there, the staff and all that, and the different people that would come through, just a lot of Christian people as well. So definitely a big part of my life was that community, but in various different aspects too. It was a very broad network, from the school to the church and Singing Hills, tons of different flavors of Christianity. So I kind of haven't grown up just I've been Southern Baptist my whole life, and all I know is Southern Baptist. And, I have a kind of a more wide array of connecting with the church throughout the years in different expressions and through music and traveling and speaking.
Wow. So you actually spoke and led worship. You did. You're kind of like a Jeremy Riddle.
Well, I'm not sure, but I like Jeremy. I knew Jeremy a bit at Bethel. He's a great guy.
He is.
But then I was also in a Christian band at the same time too. So
I love it.
Again, I was. That's kind of what I was getting at. There was, I was out traveling a lot from the time I was 14. So I started working at Singing Hills when I was 14. I started on the worship team at 14, and then I started the band at 14. So it was young. I was not good, and
still,
it's
Usually you say that. I feel bad I said that.
no, it's okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't good. It would have been better to start at 18, but that's fine. But my friends, we wanted to start a band. We wanted to be in the worship team. We wanted to get involved in youth group and all these different things. So we were out there doing a lot at that time. So at a young age, I was out there going to different churches, going to different venues. At the camp I worked at, there was just tons of, because this was the late 90s into the early 2000s.
Scene, man. It's
tons of youth events, and 300
scene.
Teens would come for the weekend or for the weekend.
That's why you do Soulfest, or you did do Soulfest.
And so I've been going to Soulfest since 1998 as well. So I was 15 years old, right? So since 14, 15, just connected with the church and the various aspects of it in so many different ways, and networking with a lot of different church leaders and friends and stuff. So that's just been a huge part of my life up until now. Yeah.
And even to this day, you're raising your daughters similar, because they're always here, because you guys are pretty much always here.
Yeah.
Not always.
But you're getting them, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Is what I'm trying
they're having
to
a similar,
express.
because ever since they were born, I've been, because Sarina's much more involved in church leadership and, like you said, maybe the upfront stuff. I've been kind of more in the back, especially with the kids the last 8 years, helping to watch them and stuff.
That's beautiful.
But they've been in this environment, and then they've been at Soulfest, every year. They've been on stage at Soulfest with the thousands of people, just because we were up there and they had to be up there. So they've been to every Soulfest and just a lot of different events and stuff like that as well. So it is kind of similar in some ways.
So what I find beautiful, and we're gonna get to Sarina. We're not.
I hope so.
We're not done yet.
I'm loving this.
We just
Hope
getting
so.
started. So what I find beautiful, Dan, about your story, and I don't really know you guys, either one, very well, except through my kids.
Right.
But one thing that I've noticed about you is how engaged with your daughters that you are. And especially in the church setting, it's not real common. You don't find guys helping out in the nursery or stuff, because it would seem creepy. Or is it? But the
it could.
it could. But we won't broach that subject right now. But what I wanted to say about you is that how involved you are, and that you can just tell that, because Jared, my granddaughters were raised with Jared, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't find that a lot on the West Coast, and I'm from the West Coast. It's more the woman, the mom.
You know what? This might connect to what I was talking about, starting everything at too young of an age. But yeah, I was 14 when I started on the worship team. Started the band, working at Singing Hills. It did a lot. Became, really involved in all that stuff early. So now when I was, my 30s and into my 40s, I'd already done a lot of that, so I didn't have like this itch, like I have to be up on stage leading worship. I have to lead the youth group. I have to be speaking all the time. I had, I don't want to say got it out of my system, because those are still things I enjoy doing, but I don't have to do it to that extent that I did for so many years. So I'm very happy to be taking on a lesser role and helping out where I can. I still want to help. I don't want to check out, but watching the kids is great, because Sarina's really been more involved in the upfront stuff. So it's a great, just the timing worked really well for us, for her to be more involved in those ways, and then on Sunday mornings I don't have to be, because I've done a lot of that. And yeah.
So let me ask you this then, as the husband, as what my generation said is the head of the home, which the word does talk about that. However, what would you say as your role as the husband, promoting your wife, who is very gifted, very talented speaker, very talented worship leader, being in the front, very comfortable being in front of people, with the scripture that Paul says women should be silent in the church?
That's a tough one. I've been trying to tell her that for a long time. She's not listening at all, so maybe somebody out there can help. Just message below. No. I'd say we kind of like our lifestyle is a little bit more like, it's not as structured and rigid as maybe others are, and maybe it's not as structured as it should be. Who knows? But we more flow with things. Like, so again, it was just like kind of felt like the season of me being playing music more so was like coming down a little bit as she was being given more opportunities and platforms, and her talents were like really just starting to come through in a lot of ways. So she's been more involved in leading worship. She's been performing at Soul Fest the last couple of years, and making music and stuff like that, playing out a little bit more. And there was no conflict. It's not like we both needed to be doing and wanted to be doing that at the exact same time. So
Wait, you played at Soul Fest?
She's played
yeah,
for the last
just
couple
like
years.
That's awesome.
More, like
wow. Okay, we're gonna
stuff,
get to that.
Yeah.
No,
So I
was
playing more in like the late '90s, early 2000s, and did that then, and now she. So it's like there's no conflict though. We try to flow with that. Like if that's where she's going, that's what's kind of being highlighted with her. We're happy to have her, explore those opportunities.
Yeah, it's not even like intent. I don't even know how intentional we are with it.
But it's a flow. It's
like
more
a
of a flow. Yeah.
But it's not like, all right, it's my turn.
Yeah, exactly.
We've never had that conversation.
It's not like, well,
It's
I
like,
played this, and now you do that.
now
or,
it's like,
I watched the kids this day, so you watch it. No,
we're
it's
not,
not
like,
How
at
long
all.
have you two been married?
15
years this month.
In a couple weeks. Yeah, 15
Beautiful.
years. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, okay, let me now segue into your beautiful bride. So, where did you first meet her?
So we met at the church in New Hampshire, like outside of Dartmouth College. So we went to the same church that also had a school, and so we met there. But we weren't friends right away because I'm a bit older than her.
Yeah,
oh wait, how?
He's a little bit older. No,
well, I'm only almost 40, so
you're almost.
I'm 36. So
okay.
So there's like a 5-6 year gap depending on the time of the year.
Yeah.
So when we met though, it's kind of blurry because I was like a kid and he was like a
teenager. Yeah.
And I knew it was a smaller community, so we like knew of each other because you kind of know the families.
My graduating class was 11, I believe, and that was the largest high school class of all time. And the high school shut down the next year because everybody graduated.
He closed the school.
So
oh wow.
Very small school.
Very small school.
Okay.
But I knew of him for sure because he was like older in the band, in the cool rock band and stuff, but never really became friends until I started going to college and got more involved in the youth group, and then he started to get more involved with the youth group because I was a youth group nerd, for sure. Just fell in love with Jesus through there and all of that, and he was always involved in worship team, youth band. We would, get interact there, and we were just doing ministry together as friends and teams, and then
would play out sometimes, maybe doing different worship events and stuff.
Okay.
So we kind of did ministry together, and then became friends. We were but everybody was hanging out, everybody was doing ministry, but also more music, but then hanging out, and so
we had the same kind of core group of friends. Eventually we did. I mean, not for a while. It was me and my band buddies and my group of friends.
Right.
And
so were you a groupie for his band?
No, I was still
not
too
even.
young.
Yeah,
it was
too young.
Because again, think about it. I was so young starting, right? So I'm 14, 15, 16 when I really
I'm like 10.
10, 11, 12.
Kid.
Yeah.
So I knew of him again, but it wasn't until I was about 16. Once I had, because when I got my license, had my own car, because in the Upper Valley, I grew up on the Vermont side of the area. So
which were you raised in a Christian home?
Yes. So my mother, both my parents were raised Catholic, actually, even my father.
Same with me.
Yeah, but then in the early 90s, when the renewal hit, my mom she's always been hungry for something authentic and real, and she's like, there's got to be something more to this. Wow. She went to a renewal meeting, went up for prayer. There was an altar call. She got knocked out in the spirit. I was 2 years old on her hip, and she said she doesn't know what happened to me. And I was like, oh, great, Mom. She just went out in the spirit, and I must have gone out with her, or I don't know.
You survived.
I survived, and I've known Holy Spirit my whole life. I've never not known him. So and so then my mom was just always hungry for that more charismatic and free expression, and the church that we met each other at was just flowing in the renewal stuff.
Yeah, it was a very renewal.
Some services I remember going to 5 p.m. We'd be there from lunch until dinner, and as kids you just fall asleep under the seats, or you just run around crazy in the outside. But it was always church was just crazy and fun, but it was a big part of our lives and stuff, and but that's how
so we were in the same community, same community.
Were hanging around.
Small community.
Okay. And so you're where in the lineup of your? Okay.
Yep. I got in.
All right, back to me.
Back to you again.
Just when we were gonna get out to.
So you two meet. She's 5-6 years younger than you, 5.5 years younger than you. She starts hanging out with the group of musicians now at this point. Yeah,
eventually. And at that point, I guess now once she's in the picture, the band is stopped. So we started as a Christian band, and just my friends, we kind of went through that for about 6 years or so, and then we kind of went different ways. Spiritually, just in life, one of the lead singer moved away. So the band stopped, but then I went from being very involved in the touring band and recording bands.
Sorry.
to church music more so. So I started, leading worship and stuff, and then she joined the worship team. That would have been our connection. But at that point, again, like she said, she was probably more so college age at that time. And then she would come back for summers or breaks and stuff and help out with the youth group a bit. And so we were just kind of more involved. Just on a ministry level is where it started, which that's a great place to meet people and to be co-laboring and just that co-laboring is a horrible phrase. Just having fun, really. Co-laboring is just it makes it not. We were having a lot of fun, leading worship and doing youth events and hanging out. Yeah,
which is beautiful. Yeah. And I want to get back to the Bethel component of it because. Nowadays you hear so many controversial things about the school and about the leaders and all of that kind of stuff. Which
obviously nobody heard then, right?
Right, but here it is now 2025 and you're still walking with Jesus. You still love Jesus. You're falling more in love with him every day. Yeah. You're raising your family that way. I think it's beautiful that not all stories of, Bethel is this cult. It actually was a really strategic time in your life where
maybe to go back to something else I said too, I never threw my hat in one person or in one ring. That might help because again, if you're this is the guy, and then if that guy or girl goes a little off, which unfortunately so many of them do, in bigger little ways, if your whole thing is in one person or one ministry, you could get thrown off. I've had a very eclectic, diverse group of ministries and churches and leaders and people I follow online and all that. So little or big controversies along the way aren't going to totally derail me, because I'm not
So good.
on a person or a ministry. It's more just my faith foundationally, and I gather from the different various aspects of the church and all that, but it's not one person.
But you've learned how to strengthen yourself in the Lord.
Yeah, I guess, or just find ways to
little
do
plug
that.
for Bill's book.
Yeah. And so Bill would be a big part of that, and so would a lot of other people in various ways.
Yeah, that's beautiful and very well said. Very well said, because it could happen even at Faith Worship Center. People could come and think, okay, Pastor Daryl has all of the answers and he has all of the direction, and he's which is good.
Yep.
But if you put
anybody, it doesn't matter who it is.
It doesn't matter.
And it does. And here's the thing too: it doesn't even necessarily have to be a church leader that stumbles or does something controversial. They could be doing great, but you could even just disagree, or you could be having an issue with that person. And then you can get derailed because it's just not lining up or something. So,
which I think is so beautiful that you were raised in such a small community. Because again, it goes back. That's the way Jesus was raised. I mean, it's literally what he.
It's very community driven is how I grew up. Yeah.
Very close knit.
Yeah, definitely.
And even if you disagree with people, it doesn't need to be a church split. But these days, you could go down the road and go to another church, but you're not going to find the community the way that you're describing it, even the way that you were raised.
I'm a bit different too, maybe in the sense that I'm very I want to say diligent, but that's not quite the right word. Intentional, but no, like loyal, I guess. I'm more loyal than not. So
that's
like
good.
we went to the church for a while until we moved to a different area. Then we went to that church for a while. I went to the church outside of Dartmouth for years and years and years and years. I worked at the Singing Hills for 12 years. I've been here for 13 years. We did the band for 6 years. I'm in my current job for over 10 years. I don't jump in and out of things like all the time. I try to be loyal and stay with it within reason if I can, as opposed to like, it's not working out as well anymore. I'm just going to move over to this thing, and I'm going to go to this thing. I just try to stay with things as long as I think I should or can.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely
Beautiful. So you were raised in a Christian home as well, and you are where in the lineup of kids?
Middle of 3 daughters. So
you're the middle child.
Yes. And
you were saying that you knew Holy Spirit from when you were 2. Your mom was holding you, and you don't know what happened, or she doesn't know what happened to you. So
I just always knew God, and it was like normal, and I'm grateful for that for sure. And my mom is a very like passionate person and really craves the authentic expression of God, and I think that really helped me have this like, okay, there's something more experiential with God and knowing Him. It's not just theory. It's not just in your head. It's not just a culture club too. That there's something I can cultivate myself. And so since I was a young kid, like just always again having familiarity with God's voice, with Holy Spirit, just being kind of normal and not this like hyper spiritual weird thing. It just was like, yeah, no, He's here. It's fine. Sometimes it gets a little weird, and it's okay, but like it's fine. And then like growing up too. But as a teen, I used to be as the middle child, very quiet, very shy. I was not outspoken at all. I was the dutiful, good middle child. My family, we owned a Chinese restaurant. Is that my phone?
So.
I think it's something in the room.
It's
I've
something
heard
in
it.
the room. Okay,
I think it's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
it's been like, careful talking about your family. It's like Hong Kong is now under Chinese regime, so it's like that's China.
The interesting thing about that is that we're under constant surveillance by God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So we have nothing to fear.
We're used to it.
We're used to it.
Nothing died. But so growing up, my father's from Hong Kong originally, so like, and my parents opened a Chinese restaurant the year I was born.
I've tasted some of your family recipes.
No, they've since retired. It's been like about a year now, but growing up in that restaurant and the culture of Asian, and my mom's Italian, and it's like food, family. It's just a lot of that similar kind of like loyalty, even, which I think was why Dan and I really.
Drive,
like that's a big core value of ours, and so we just kind of made sense to each other. But yeah, just growing up, you know, it was very beautiful. You know, you help the family out. Middle child, you just kind of learn to kind of disappear a little bit to cause less conflict and just not be a hindrance. And then so during my like teenage years, when I started to go to youth group and start to ask all the questions like, is this faith my own? Is this like, do I really believe what I believe? You know, I kind of went through deconstruction as like a teenager, I think.
Wow.
As most teens do.
As most teens do. Yeah.
As is
Some
the
people,
tradition.
as
Yes.
is the as the appropriate age. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That's not true. That was a joke. But yeah, you know, going through that as a teen, and then really solidifying my faith on a youth retreat. You know, I love youth groups and stuff. Why I got so involved and how Dan and I became friends was because it radically touched my life. Like I had like my first encounter with the love of God in a real way at a youth retreat in the middle of the woods in New Hampshire with an acoustic worship, during the middle of an acoustic worship set. And that's why part of why I love worship too. It's like, it's just such a beautiful place to really authentically have an experience with God's love that's personal, that's real, that only you can have, that isn't just put on by the culture around.
Did you want to?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna go see.
Now, it's Daddy's turn.
My turn.
So, okay, so you've been a part of this worship community then, and
Here?
no,
Or
there.
just there?
We're
A
going
little
back
bit.
to there, and
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about your teen years.
Yeah.
When a lot of teens, we just said that a lot of teens go through their deconstruction time at that point in their teens to find out what is mine and what is my parents.
Yeah.
Did you ever go through a rebellious where, no, this is not real, or?
I wouldn't say rebellious. My older sister paved the way to show me not to rebel. Was good.
Okay, that's
Thank you, older siblings. You guys carry so much weight of
I would
like
agree.
paving
I'm
the
a
way.
youngest child, so I get that.
Older siblings, man, those guys are heroes. But
Yes, they are.
so yeah, kudos to my sister. But yeah, so I never really went through a rebellious stage, I would say, but I did go through like a pretty dark time of like just deep insecurity, even probably depression, and just really not knowing my value and really having issues being like, okay, because, you know, growing up as a kid, like thinking, oh, I gotta disappear in order to find my place. You don't have much of an identity if you disappear, right? So, or you just are like trying to be dutiful to everybody else's needs, you know, which, hey, you know, sometimes that still comes up. So,
That's a real
but
part
I'm in
of life.
therapy now, so you know, we talk about it. Now there's awareness. But yeah, so that just kind of led to like, wait, who am I? Am I worthy of love? Does it really matter? Am I unique to the Lord? Like, oh yeah, he loves the world, but does he love me? Like, you know, that whole paradigm shift.
Sure.
And it wasn't until like in worship really having that undeniable like encounter with his love, about that personal, like directed love at me, is what really helped pull me out of that. And then from then on, I was like in it. I was like, get me involved. Like, I'm here. I'll jump in on the worship team. I've always loved worship, wanted to do that. Started to teach myself guitar. I went to a different, once Dan graduated and the private school closed, I had to find a different school. So I tried.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I tried public school and, you know, just never felt like home. I was, you know, junior high was when I jumped into public school. That's like the worst time.
Come sit over here. I'm gonna switch. We're gonna switch places. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So junior high is like the worst time to like jump into a public school environment, and it was hard. So then we found another private Christian school in Vermont that I went to, and I loved that environment. I just got involved, helped start a missions trip because I've always wanted to do missions. Was on like the school worship team, got involved at our church doing the youth band, and I just went head first. I had an incredible youth leader at the time. Her name was Corey, and she just was such a good mentor and role model for me of like what Jesus in a confident, like just beautiful person can look like. Because I think there had always been kind of like, I don't know, there's been something in me that's always been drawn to like wanting a mentor, wanting people that are further ahead of me in life, and having those voices as in my life, but also just looking to them, being like, oh, where they are right now is where I want to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 50 years.
Can I hold you right there to just point out the value of the older generation? I had an interview with Jess a little bit ago, and she called us the Q-tips. Because in a loving way, she felt bad afterwards, but it was actually very endearing to me, because the older generation needs to understand their value. Sarina's hitting on something that's really powerful in the smaller church communities, is that our prayer intercessors, the ones that are older that help serve, that don't want to actually be on the stage, you're hearing from individuals that were raised in a church and actually need that. It doesn't even, you don't have to teach, you don't have to be in front of a group of people, just connecting with different ones and saying, hey, can we go have coffee together? Just to spend time outside of the church environment is what the younger generation, from what I'm hearing, is actually craving, because they're in places where they can actually learn, and they're wanting to learn. So I just don't want to discredit the older generation, which I have found out in the faith worship community, there are so many that want that as well. But sometimes the disconnect is just timing. And so creating this atmosphere.
Yeah, and also you have to be intentional. Like, I was intentional. I sought people out. I mean, I hope I wasn't annoying, but you just kind of lean into who is showing interest in me as a person? And then when that happens, and they have something that, you're just like, oh, I'd like to get to know them. You just never know what connections. There's been many meetings or coffee dates I've been on where it's just like, oh, that kind of fell flat. But there's been, out of those, there's been beautiful ones that were depth is created, and it's work though. It is work. It is because you can't all do it on a Sunday morning, right? Like, it's just too much. It's just compact. We're there to just gather, worship, and love it. I love a Sunday morning. But how do you do life? How do you do this parenting thing? How do you do this starting a new business? What is that like? How do you, so finding people that were doing life well or in ways that I admired, I just always tried to be intentional with those relationships and lean into them. Yeah.
Which is beautiful, because you hear from somebody that's on the stage, very confident. You hear the things that she just said as far as going through her identity and finding out who she is. And even Dan saying it's not just one person that I glean all of my understanding of who God is. It's literally a community. And that's something that I so value with what you two have created, even within this community. One of the things that you hit on too that I think is such a powerful point was when you experienced the Holy Spirit in worship and you connected with Him. Yeah. And that is a personal thing that you found just with you and the Lord, but you also found it in community. Yeah. And so the thing that I want to really encourage everyone to understand is during the week when life is busy, as you're connecting with the Lord, when you come to church, don't expect the worship team to get you to a certain place to experience God. You carry it when you come in, because you have all week long. All the worship team is doing and facilitating is a place for us to come and do this corporately, which is beautiful, because that's what Daryl and Lynn have created Faith Worship Center to be. It's about worship.
Yeah, it's a big part of why this place felt like home. Sorry, one kid's having a meltdown.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to encourage everyone, as the family is being taken care of, how you come into this environment at Faith Worship Center with worship in mind, because you worship Jesus all week long. And then when you come together as community, as a smaller community of 100 people or so, you're actually bringing something that will be attractive to other people to come and be a part of. And what I love so much about what Dan and Sarina have done in this environment is the fact that they are very authentic. And so we're going to end this. I can't even see the time count. Can you see the time count?
We've been doing this for a while. 44 minutes. Yeah, it's a long one.
So it's a long one, and hopefully you stayed with us through the entire process because this is a goal couple. And
Thank
if you have an opportunity to talk with them, and I know everything's crazy on Sunday, but I would invite them out to maybe have a meal or something. And they have two beautiful daughters who are they're very much
Very low maintenance, as you can tell.
Hey, it's season life. They're like a little kid.
And we are coming to the end of this, which again we're gonna have them back because this is just too much. It's so beautiful to
We
have
haven't even
this.
talked about like how Bethel played a role.
No, I didn't
and
even
how
get
we
that.
got here.
And this is this is intriguing. And let me tell you, we've just scratched the surface because you tried out for this worship team 3 times and got denied.
Yeah.
Just said that.
3 times. Thanks, Jer.
Oh, Jer was leading at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So just so that you know, this is a fun place. So everyone absolutely has a story to tell, and we may do a part 2. Even now, we'll just see how it goes. Okay, we are back for part 2 because this is just really, really good. And I have a question for you regarding you also went to Bethel.
Yes.
You had an encounter. When did you go? What year did you go?
So I went to the worship school first, which was at the time the summer of 2009. They ran the worship school for a whole month. So during college, so I graduated high school in 2006, went to college right away. It was really important for me to go to college, get my bachelor's and do that. That was a big part of like my family and wanting to like do that for myself too. So, but I knew I wanted to go into ministry. So I was scoping out different ministry schools, and during my time in college, I just became a Bethel cult follower. Brian and Jen.
Bethel is not a cult.
It's not a cult.
Let me just say that.
She became
She became a groupie of Bethel.
Sorry. Because at the time, Brian and Jen just released that first album, Undone.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, finally a female worship leader who is an alto. And I was like, all right, Jen. I was like, I hadn't heard that yet. And then the song, Where You Go, I'll Go. Like,
beautiful.
And I love the minor and Brian's voice. It was just like, this worship feels different and what my heart's been longing for. So I love their worship. And then Bill's book, When Heaven Invades Earth. They just started their podcast. Like before podcasts were a thing, the audio, I would listen to the sermon of the week while I was in college, and I read Bill's book, and I was just like, this seems legit. But before I say yes to going to their full-time ministry school after I graduate, I was like, let me check it out for the summer. Make sure it's legit. And everything. So I went to the worship school in
I
that
think
summer.
Jer did that same thing.
Yeah, they checked out the worship school first, and then they recruit a lot of students from the worship school to stay. A lot of the people I went to school with.
Or we did. We want them worship leaders.
Yeah, well, actually, I went out when Matt Stinton was there, because Matt was leading worship at a church in New London,
You
New
knew
Hampshire.
him before.
Yeah, so I had known Matt. He was leading worship. My mom started going to a church there, and Matt Stinton was the worship leader. So Dan had played with Matt. We had known Matt for years, and so we went out like together. We even flew out there just as friends, like to the worship schools. Like, oh yay, someone else from New Hampshire, like from New England, and
that's awesome.
And Matt stayed, of course, and like got integrated because he's so gifted. He's definitely so gifted.
Yes.
So, but anyways, checking it out, like, is it legit? And that summer, being home from college and getting back involved, Dan was leading the youth group at the time at our old church. That was really a big connection for Dan and I on like a more deeper spiritual level, because there wasn't a lot of our friends were kind of moving away or moving on. His band has, broken up. They were all doing different things, but Dan stayed involved in church and in ministry. And so he was the only friend left. So I kind of was,
pretty, kind of.
I mean, kind of.
Kind of true.
But he remained, but he was involved still, and I still wanted to be involved in the church and ministry, and he started like following Bethel on his own. Meanwhile, I'm in college in upstate New York, like following Bethel and being like, do you know about this place? Like all this, and then when he does, he's like, I'm actually signed up. He had said he was signed up to go to the school in the fall of 2009, and I was like, shut up, I'm going to the worship school. Like this is legit, So I went and, of course, fell in love with the place. It was amazing.
Did Don Potter do that year?
No,
Okay.
he didn't.
Okay.
We had Ray Hughes.
Okay.
Oh, man. I mean, of course, Brian and Jen. Jeremy Riddle had just come out,
Okay.
too.
Okay.
So he was, like, fresh on the scene there. It was small, though. There was only, like, less than 200 of us in the sanctuary. And Bill and Chris, and hearing their teachings live. And, you know, you just get in that environment. I mean, you get a room full, not just in the Bethel environment where they love to worship, but you get a room full of people who are worshipers.
Right.
It's
at Bethel,
extraordinary.
and you're just like,
another level.
Yeah, it was just so great, and
yeah.
so it was just like, okay, this place seems real, like legit, because I would watch the leadership, you know, because there can be people that go that have their own stuff that they're just, you know, everybody's seeking, so they all come from different backgrounds, and you know, can jump into the environment in different ways. But I was looking at the leadership. I was like, well, who are they? Are they the type of people that I want to be like, or would like to glean from? So it was easy to kind of like bypass if there was like, I don't know, fringe stuff or whatever. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, I want to go here after I graduate college. And then lo and behold, Dan was already signed up to go to first year. I still had my last year of college to finish, my senior year of college. I was going away to London to study abroad that fall. And that's when Dan and I decided to start our relationship officially.
Oh, wow.
So I was in London.
She was in London and I was in California.
He's in California.
So we go from New England to her going further that way, and I go further west coast.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it was exactly what God knew that's what I needed, because we had spent so much time just hanging out as friends.
Yeah.
You know, we did everything from like cleaning toilets to like planning big youth events.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So we knew each other.
Yeah.
It was more about communication though. And so that's the distance made us like communicate, and you know, regularly we would just write letters to each other or message each other, or Skype.
Oh yeah.
When we
Skype
could,
days,
although the timing was crazy.
Yeah.
And then we got engaged that Christmas, which freaked my family out. But you know, they knew Dan, so they came around.
Right.
It took them just 2 days, I think.
A couple days.
A
Yeah.
lot of intercession, a lot of that. His parents loved me.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're just so gracious. But yeah, so we got engaged that New Year's. He proposed to me New Year's Eve at the stroke of midnight. You know.
Beautiful. Well played.
On Dartmouth campus. Yeah.
Yeah.
As it snowed. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was like, it was very picturesque.
Do you have it on video?
No.
No, we don't have smartphones then, so it's our own special moment.
That's beautiful.
So got engaged. Then we were like, after I graduated college, I was like, okay, I want to go to Bethel too. He was going to do second year while I did first year. So we got married the August before. So we got married August 22nd of 2010. And then we went on a 4-day honeymoon to Puerto Rico, and then we hit the road for our second honeymoon as a road trip across the country to go to Bethel.
Yeah.
So we spent our first year of marriage in ministry school.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, it was
really cool. But it was cool too that I was in first year, he was second year.
Yeah.
Because it made it so, you know, your first year of marriage, you were like obsessed with each other and all of that. So it caused us to still grow as individuals and intentionally, but still, you know, get to be together and experience that together.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, yeah, and then while we were out there, Dan being the super intentional person that he is, we were like, well, we're New Englanders. We definitely don't want to stay out here. So how do we get back to New England? Like, where do we get connected? You know, we don't want to start a church that we didn't feel the grace to do anything like that.
Right.
But who do we get connected to? You know, who's out there? And Eric Johnson at the time was leading second year. And so Dan was like, Eric, you know, are there churches out in New England where I'm from, all that? And Eric's like, go to my uncle's church. And we're
That's awesome.
And yeah, so that, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it, because we knew we were going to come back. So I would ask Eric, I'd ask Steve Backlund, just people I knew there, you know, were connected to out there. And I'd say, we want to go back to New England. Where should we go? And like she said, I mean, each one of them would just, without thinking, would go, well, you're going to go to Daryl and Lynn's church. Like, I mean, it was like known like to them before it was known to me. Like, it was a no-brainer, which totally makes sense, you know. And it resonated with us. We believed that too, because it did just seem like such a great connection going from there to here. And then just locationally too, like I remember being in our living room in Redding, California, and
/ our whole house. Cause
it was like a one room.
We were in a 500
I
square
call it the
foot
living
garage.
room. You might call it the kitchen and the bedroom, the living room,
Everything.
the hallway.
It was great. For a newly married, it was perfect.
That's awesome.
It was
But
cozy.
maybe that motivated us to leave as well. When you're living in a
And also, like, I'm such a New Englander. Like, I love New England, and I couldn't do the Reading heat, man.
Yep, it's a
I
different
missed
culture.
winter. I missed all of the seasons.
I kind of thought moving to California would be more like California, and then you show up in Reading and it's a little bit different than,
Shasta's
Hollywood
nice,
and the
It's more
oceans.
Southern Oregon than it is California.
I miss it. I miss a lot of it. But we really wanted to be New England. So I remember going, I don't know if I was online, I must have had a map or Google Maps or something, whatever it was at the time, and just looking at Nashua, New Hampshire specifically, and then going like, this is like the best place to live in all of New England, because I just would draw a line to like where our parents are, and to Connecticut, to New York City, to Boston, to Maine, to the beach, just I'm like, that's where you want to live. And then that also happened to be where we live 8 minutes from the church here. It's right where the church was, and it's like where we just thought we should be. And so we've been here in this area in New Hampshire for 13 years, basically since that season in Bethel. But it just seemed very strategic. It was very intentional, and it's been a great thing for us. And it's funny, Realtor.com and the Wall Street Journal just this week named Nashua, New Hampshire the best place in America to live.
Come on.
It's the best housing market, and it's just the most desirable market right now. But that's what I saw clearly on the map back then. I'm like, this is like the best location you could possibly be in. If you want to be in New England, this is the spot.
Here.
And Faith Worship Center is the church to be a part of. Sorry, I was just...
And that happened to be, and it happened to be right there. So it's like, this is where we're going.
I know, we're technically across the border, because Nashua's a border town.
But like I said,
and Pepperell's a border town of Massachusetts. But like, we live closer to Mass than any other.
Yeah.
But even since coming here and starting to get plugged in here, you helped out with the School of Ministry they started here.
Yeah, so
Tell me
actually,
a little bit about that.
When we first met Daryl and Lynn, we let them know we were coming out. We're like, we're interested in checking out your church, and we're from Bethel, coming from Bethel. They were like, let's meet, and so we met with them in here. Actually, is their old office, and within a few minutes, they knew. I didn't know. They knew.
Who wouldn't, right?
They were like,
you gotta love.
They
this
offered
company.
us a job immediately. Like, hey, we need youth leaders. and that was our background. That's how.
Yeah.
And we're like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but of course, that's like super part time and just like very minimal. But at least it was putting in roots. It was like getting planted somewhere. And so then we started off.
It was a reason to come.
Yeah.
There was a reason, which was good. It's all we needed was a reason to be here.
Yeah, and to serve and because we didn't want to just attend somewhere. We were just juiced up
we
from
just
like, well, let's go.
What can we do? Yeah.
Well, let's serve. Where's the need at? And their need was with the youth, and thankfully that's like what our background was, and we did that for a few years until really, I don't know, things just kind of like shifted, and then that's when Daryl and started the part-time ministry remote school for using the BSSM curriculum, the Bethel School of Ministry curriculum here. And I had obviously gone to this school, was familiar with it, and helped administrate that. There was another lady that helped start and get the structure, new curriculum, new schooling, was a former teacher. So she did all of the technical stuff, set the form up, and then they just needed someone to run it, help run it. And so with Daryl and Lynn and I and other pastor leaders that we had at the time, we led the school, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it. It was because I was like, even at Bethel, I was like, if I could do this in New England, I would love that.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold,
and that kind of started like, because shortly after we had kids, so and she started that before we had kids, so like that kind of just naturally gave her the opportunity to serve a little bit more because she was doing that role, and then which was great, and that was her skill set way more than mine. So I was more with the kids just like one night a week, and then that just kind of gave you a more open door to just for your talents and your administration and then your worship stuff and speaking, all the stuff that you do now, to kind of like be more in the forefront, because I think it just wasn't known when we got here. like what your giftings and talents were.
I
but
stayed hidden. I didn't.
It started to come out more so, and that's when I was like happy
half of
to.
anything
I was happy to go
do
more in the background.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Like,
really
but it happened naturally that way. It wasn't like strategic. Like now it's Sarina's turn because
Right.
I had a turn for 5 years, and
I wouldn't have done it if it was said like that. No,
it's your turn. No, it happened naturally, and it's been a natural kind of flow since then. You know,
Beautiful.
of who does what, and
Yeah.
Beautiful. So real quick, before we close this section of it, I would like to know what you guys do outside the church. So I understand you're
Not
a
much.
realtor. I understand you're a realtor though.
Yep. Yeah, so again, I made a quick mention of like the different things I do for a long time. So I've been doing real estate since 2015, so a little bit over 10 years now. It's been kind of my main, outside of church, career pursuit for sure. My main source of income. I'm a principal broker at a local real estate firm, so I really have enjoyed that.
He's really good at it because he's very personable but technical.
Yeah.
It's an amazing mix of his.
Yeah,
like,
that's
So
beautiful.
that's been a great part of my life and our life for the past 10 plus years, and so that's kind of like career wise the thing I've most focused on, definitely.
You're also a recording like producer. You like to do with a studio. You have a
So
small studio.
at my house I converted my shed into a small recording studio because again, since I was 14, music has been that was the pursuit from when I was a teenager. Like we wanted to hit it big, and then it's like, oh no, we're not that good, so we didn't. But we tried.
They were. You're just different. This is season 11.
Yeah, but we
That's
tried.
so young.
That's
We were so
subject
young.
to, yes.
But I started down the music path then
Yeah.
and have always pursued that. So that's kind of a part-time thing, just a more of a hobbyist, side thing. But definitely a huge passion of mine and ours is music, recording, producing.
I've heard both of some of your music, and it's awesome. It's on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, wherever
all
we
the
put it.
platforms,
Yeah.
right? Nowadays, you just
And I work with other artists, and
Yeah.
I'll produce their stuff, and I produced her stuff, and hopefully we work on more stuff soon. And she's very super talented at singing and writing songs and leading worship, so we complement each other fairly well.
And then you also have an interest outside the church. Don't you do graphic design?
Yeah.
Did you go to school for that? That was
I actually didn't.
Oh,
She did this.
so she did this. All of the
Also
things.
this.
We only are allowed to wear shirts that
I
she
made.
made.
All of the things that
I
you
tried wearing a
see
different shirt once.
on the Sunday morning, or the website.
Yeah,
You
for 13
did that.
years,
Well-
Soulfest, all Soulfest graphics were pretty
Yeah,
much
so I'm a part-time freelance graphic designer, more just random projects now, honestly. With AI, it's a whole other battlefield, but for 13 years I was the main graphic designer for Soulfest, and then just had different organizations or companies I would work for, do a lot of the graphic stuff here just because that's my skill set and I know it. So yeah, because I've always been drawn to music, been drawn to art.
The arts,
And ministry and people.
Which
and
is beautiful. Tell me a little bit about why I come to church and sometimes I'll see this color and there's other times I'll see different colors. Is it just what you go through? Are you feeling something? You just love the creativity of having different hair color.
Actually, me dyeing my hair is kind of more of a very personal step of courage. No, I mean, it's fine. It's just not I think it's cool, and so I did it. It's it took me until I was 30 to start dyeing my hair.
Wow.
Because it's something that my parents don't like.
So it's rebellious.
Okay.
So I'm the rebellious stage.
That's the rebellion we
I
were
didn't start rebelling until I was 30, and I'm still doing it. Hence the new ink. I only just got this done.
Which is awesome. What does it say again?
So this is my ancestry. It's actually it's my family, even though they're the ones that don't like it. But I love them,
Ironic.
and it's ironic. So it's just my Chinese family ancestry and my kids' names and stuff. Are Chinese names. So.
But this is
This
a part of your
family is a big-
identity that you've been
Yes,
talking
yes.
about of who you are and your expression of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
family is a
beautiful.
huge part of just the core value of how I was raised, even how I got integrated here at the church, how Daryl and Lynn lead. It's very
Absolutely.
family.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, that makes sense to me. So I think that's why it just kind of worked.
Right.
and they make sense to me. How they run things makes sense to me, and I also value it. Like family first. Like family is
Beautiful.
everything.
Beautiful.
And so it's a big core value of mine. And as far as the dyeing the hair and stuff, I was always that tension of like, I want to be a good daughter, make them proud, but they don't like dyed hair. I want to be a good daughter, make them proud, but they don't like tattoos. So they come around. They realize,
I can venture
like,
to guess that they're very proud of you, and you as well, Dan. And I know I'm honored to get to know you a little bit better, and hopefully you've gotten to know this beautiful couple a little bit better. But there is we're just scratching the surface, really, of the anointing and of the gifts that they both possess. So even their businesses, it's something that this community can really be proud of and partake in, should you ever need a realtor.
Absolutely.
Or a graphic designer.
Yep.
Or
You
someone
want to
who
record a song?
record a song, which I'm actually going to hire him. So I just want to value who you are and a part of this community. And it also shows you what Daryl and Lynn, again, have fostered and stewarded and built upon for the last 36 years now of family, and how important it is. So should you be scrolling through YouTube and lasted through a couple of interviews, and by now this is a phenomenal place to come and be a part of and to belong, but you expect to be integrated in as family and not hide in the back row. Just saying.
So you gotta stick around.
And yes, a little bit.
Stick around.
You might listen. Even the leaders. Would you say that your marriage has been perfect for 15 years?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
What?
So there's been no arguments. There's not been any disagreements.
Not that I can remember.
Okay, we're gonna end this interview
Before it goes off.
But let me just encourage you that all human beings have issues, and every church you go to, there's going to be issues. But the beauty is family actually sticks together. I love what you just said. Stick around, because we actually do support one another. And that's the beauty of what they have fostered here for 36 years now.
Yeah.
So come, just check us out. You can see this beautiful couple and their beautiful daughters. They stopped coming in.
Yeah.
I wanted to introduce them to the...
Next time.
You come to church and
Come
you'll
to
see
church.
them running around.
You'll see them running around. All right, have a great week. We'll see you on the next episode of Hidden Gems. Bye.